Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are rolling on a big Wednesday night slate. Nate, going to go ahead and look at the Nets and Celtics. A couple of teams been winning as of late. See some of those best bets and a couple of players that we're eyeing in this one. As always, though, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we are jumping into. Nate, let's get into those lines.
Yeah, we got a huge slate as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday. We got the Suns kicking it off, -7 at Cavs. We'll break that one down in a minute. Lakers on a back-to-back are +1.5 at Pacers. We got Pistons +14 at Bucks. Heat -2 at the Red Hot Wolves. Wizards -3 at Pelicans. Bulls -8 at the Rockets, 0-12 in their last 12 for anyone counting. Raptors +4 at Grizz. Jazz -12 at the Thunder. We got Hawks -4 right now at Spurs. We got a video up on that one as well. Sixers are +10 at Warriors, and Blazers on a back-to-back -2.5 at Sacramento. We're looking here at the Celtics and Nets, bit of a rivalry game. Right now, a pick'em game on DraftKings. The Celtics are getting a point on FanDuel, and the total is 216 on either site. And that's where I'm opening my thoughts to you, Josh, because I think both of these teams have been really wonky in terms of their effort on a nightly basis. I think there's nothing to be said about that necessarily, but that I think that they're both starting to see some positive regression in terms of their offense. I mean, with the Nets, it's about getting used to not having Kyrie Irving. It's about James Harden getting his legs back under him. And they've started to do that. And Harden, and with Harden playing well, they dropped 117 points on a Cavs team that almost never allows 100 points this year, it seems. Harden has had success against the Celtics, as he has against most teams, with good 22, 10, and 8 splits last season. So without Kyrie, I mean, I don't know if they can necessarily crush the C's the way they did last season. It was clearly a revenge narrative there. They won by 5, they won by 12, and they won by 28. But their previous 3 meetings all went over. The fourth meeting did not go over, but it totaled 232, back in the NBA days of lore when games actually scored a lot. But we're starting to see that happen. I think it's just taking some time to ease into the full season, to ease into the fact that there are big crowds around here. And the Celtics have been scoring at home. I mean, they dropped 130 on a struggling Lakers team recently. They're averaging about 110 at home. I think that's enough to assume that the Nets can keep pace with that kind of scoring and get us to at least 220 here.
Yeah, I mean, it is hugely dependent on Jalen tonight. I mean, to me, it's about who's going to stop KD. No one's going to stop KD. Who's going to even slow him down? It would be Jaylen Brown if he was playing. But more importantly, is they're not going to be able to keep pace with the Nets on offense if he's not playing. You look at what they were doing before he came back from that COVID protocol that he was in. And yeah, it was not pretty, and it was a lot of Jason Tatum trying to do his thing and somehow Dennis Schroeder ending up with the ball in crunch time, which was not good for them. And that's where I'm looking to help your point of the over there is what Brooklyn has done of late. They've been playing really bad teams, in winning 6 of their last 7, Cleveland twice, Orlando twice, New Orleans, and Oklahoma City. The only loss in that 7-game span was that pounding they took from Steph Curry and the Warriors. But either way, they've been doing it against teams that actually aren't as bad on defense, specifically Cleveland, Orlando, playing at least some form of defense, even if they're not able to really win games with their lack of offense. And they've been able to score on them. They have been keeping those bad offenses that we mentioned to really bad shooting, keeping 4 of their last 8 opponents to under 100 points, but it's all been bad competition. And it's really about what they're doing on offense. And it's their efficiency, their 3-point shooting, 3rd in 3-point percentage, and they're making about the 7th most threes in their last 8 games. They're not turning the ball over and assisting very well. So they're doing it well in that sense, but they're not rebounding at all. They're dead last in rebound percentage, even in that 7-game span where they've won 6 of those games. So they're getting out rebounded. And I do think that, you can score on them, but the Celtics will have trouble scoring if they don't have Jaylen Brown alongside Tatum and company, right? So, it's been their defense, and that's why it's tough to, feel really comfortable about that. I would say I would feel comfortable, honestly, in this one, looking at potentially either team totals or just taking the spread there and going over, maybe even teasing it down either way. But I'm not quite sure about what's going to happen if Jaylen Brown plays, because I do think that this is pretty close to a pick 'em if Brown's in there. So right now it might make sense if you're able to get this early enough before the Brown news comes out. It might make sense to go ahead and hedge your bets and take the Nets there, assuming he's not going to play, because I think that even if he does play, the Nets still have a better chance of winning this one. And if he doesn't play, they definitely have a very good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, no, I would lean Celtics if you are betting the spread. I mean, obviously at home, that rebounding advantage is huge. They're first in rebound percentage over their last 8, and the Nets are struggling in that department. It is mostly about the lack of competition for both these teams recently, the lack of a reasonable response on offense. With a dysfunctional Lakers team, the Celtics played the Cavs twice. They just got done playing the Rockets and the Thunder.
Yeah.
So those are not really teams that are going to match you and bring out the best in you offensively. And the Nets, they've been locking down on defense. It's easy to say that against that type of competition. Golden State had no problem dropping 117 and really just making that game decided in the third quarter. I think the Celtics are starting to figure things out under their new coach, and they're not going to light it up like Steph Curry and company. But they'll do enough at home that I feel pretty confident about this being a high enough scoring game, and would consider maybe, taking the Celtics with the over in some sort of parlay.
Yeah, I mean, that logic makes sense. If you think the Celtics are going to, hold pace in this game, they are going to have to score a decent amount of points. Even if they play really good defense on this team, you're going to have to expect that they score around 110, right? So if that gets up to there and the Celtics are in this game and able to pull it off, then I would feel good about that. I would consider seeing if this spread does go up a bit in the favor of the Nets. I think there's still, the team with the names out there for the public to feel better about betting on them. And anytime, it's often that you see the public betting on a small spread for a team like the Nets, they just look at, -1, go ahead and take Brooklyn because you assume they're going to win. But this is one that, the season, we'll see whose sort of recent trends, to your point, are for real after they've been playing a bunch of bad teams each. Which one of those streaks actually means something? We'll find out. It's going to be a pretty entertaining game, I would say, either way. And we do expect points in this one. So that is all the time that we have for today. Make sure you are liked and subscribed. We got a couple other videos up for you on a big Wednesday night slate. And until we see you next, happy betting.